Hi, I'm Brian with Cenvar Roofing. Today's job, we're gonna be replacing a skylight. The customer has been complaining about leaks coming in through the skylight. So this is a fairly new roof. It was installed within the last year, and they wanted to save a little bit of money up front without replacing the skylights. But unfortunately, you're starting a brand new roof with a 20, 30-year-old skylight. It's never really a good idea. These things only last but so long, seals start wearing out. So today we're gonna be replacing this thing. This is a deck-mounted skylight. One of the details that you can tell that it's a deck mounted is there's no side screws. No screws here holding anything into place. This is all one unit, and on the sides, it's bolted right to the decking underneath the roofing. First things first, we got to take the shingles off. Old flashing, then we can unbolt the skylight, pull it out, and then put the new one in. So let's get started. If you saw the last video where we were replacing a pipe boot, we had to take a few shingles out above it and then work our way down. Same concept with this. You want to take at least, a couple shingles up. The back pan of this thing's probably going to be, we'll say, about that tall. So we're definitely going to be needed to take this shingle out and down. So again, we want to take this shingle out. So you got to take the nails of this shingle out, which are under here. And then you also want to take the nails out of the shingle up top to get them out of the headlap to get that down. So basically just break the seal all the way across, slide your nail bar under, feel till you get the nail, and just give it a little forward pressure, and then bending down at the same time and just kind of wiggle it, and the nail pops right up. Just like that. Find our bond. We're lucky it's in the winter time, and the shingles take a little bit longer, for the heat to melt the tar strips. They come up a little bit easier. Okay, now we've got all the nails out of the headlap of the shingle, and we're taking this one out now. Slide right out. If you're ever doing a re-roof or repairs or anything and you're using architectural shingles, one thing that you want to pay attention to is how you place the shingles on the roof when you take them out. You want tar strip up. Now, if you lay them this way in the summer, the tar strip will stick to these shingles and you'll pull off the granules and everything, so you want to keep them tar side up. All right, so now you got those out, you can just continue on tearing out down. All right, now that we're down toward the bottom of the skylight, we want to jump over and do the same on the other side. I personally don't like to see nails exposed in the flashing like that. I don't know, just personal opinion. I typically, when I do mine, I'll nail right there underneath, and this piece of step flashing will cover that nail. So you're not only securing the shingle in, but you're also securing that piece of flashing in there, all with the same nail. You can see the way they have this here, this nail is here, but there's no nail under there, so that shingle's just moving around and I could blow right off and rip the shingle out. We use Velux brand skylights. They come with a specific flashing kit made for that skylight. These are old deck mounted units that they basically took the flashing kit off and made their own flashing kit. When they took the units off, they took the skylight and the frame off, and they basically broke the seal on all the glass. That was the main reason why they were leaking, but also they're probably 30 years old. Wasco used to be a popular brand. Some of their deck mounted skylights had a rubber gasket that literally went all the way around the skylight, and it was supposed to channel water down the gasket and not get into the side. I've replaced tons of those things because the gaskets fail over time. I mean, one good thing they had going for them is they did take ice and water shield and turn it up. Well, that's definitely a good thing. At least they tried. Shingle wasn't even nailed. There's a nail there and a nail there, that's it. That shingle's not even nailed there. All right, so now we got the skylight fully tore out, all the shingles and the flashing off of it. We're gonna cut the ice and water shield back. We'll reveal the brackets, that way we can take the skylight and everything out. These deck mount skylights have 4 brackets. There's 2 on each side. You rub your hand on it, and you can feel it. You can kind of see the bump, but it's right here. It's bolted to the side, it's screwed to the side, and it's screwed to the decking, and that's really what keeps the skylight in place. So you got to remove the screws here, here, and then 2 on the side. Cut the ice and water shield back, and it should release. Wow, okay. It's only got 1. Okay. Someone forgot to put in a bracket is all it is. I mean, this one has the bracket here. Yeah, it has it one right there, and then the other one is right there. So before we take the skylight out, there's a couple things we want to do. We want to go ahead and prep the new one to be installed so that we don't leave an open hole on the roof for too long. It's a fall hazard. And then also we're going to take the blower and just kind of blow the grit and debris out from around it and down it, just to help minimize, trash and stuff from entering the home. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. No way to stop it, but you try to keep it down to as minimum. We do always suggest lay an old sheet or a tarp or something underneath to catch all that debris that does, end up falling down. Just makes cleanup easier. One really cool thing about Velux, not a sponsor, is they always send you everything you need to install the skylights, minus the shingles, of course. Got this little bag of nails right here. They're ring shank nails, and there's a flange that goes all the way around the skylight, and that's where you nail everything into, through that flange. With new replacement skylights, on deck mounted units, they have this little trim piece on the front and 2 on the side. That always has to be removed before you install them. I like to wrap the screws up in tape and tape it to the skylight. That way you don't lose them. Okay, now we're ready to pull the old one out and put the new one in. Square the skylight up as best you can. Replacing skylights are a lot like replacing a door. You know how you take the trim molding off of the door, and that's how you get the frame out and everything. No skylight replacement is ever the same. This one right here, as you can see, recessed. This is the deck line, and this actually recessed into the house, by about 1.5 inches. And these are all flush mounts, so you can see the gap all the way around. Now, the best thing to do is after the skylight's installed, put in place, you can hire somebody or do it yourself. Basically, just put a little trim board all the way around and finish it off. Doesn't affect the way the skylight performs. You won't lose any excess heating or cooling loss through the skylight. Yeah, it makes it just look a lot better at the end. I like to start at the top corners where the skylight doesn't want to slide down. Skylights are almost original to the structure because of the way, you can tell by the way the drywall mud is packed in there. All right, so here's your standard Velux skylight flashing kit that goes with the skylights. The model number on these is FSC06, and this skylight is an EDL-C06. So that means that's the proper flashing kit for the skylight. It also does CO4s and CO1. The main difference between the 3 is not width, but it's actually height. All 3 skylights are the same width. Each skylight is shorter. CO6s is the long one. It's your 2x4. The dimensions are weird. That's a CO6. A CO4 is smaller than that, and a CO1 is even smaller than that. But they're all the same width. You can use one flashing kit for all 3. Flashing kits come with 4 different components. Ice and water shield from Velux. This goes all the way around the skylight. You turn it on up the skylight and onto the decking. Your step flashing that goes up the sides, and it comes with a 1-piece front pan, pre-made from the manufacturer, and a 1-piece back pan. And that's why you can use the same flashing kit for each because they're all the same width, so this pan will work for all 3 skylights. The only thing you're changing is the height, which is corrected by more or less step flashing. If you're not very familiar with Velux skylights, the back pans always come with this extra little piece of metal right here. Pull it out, get rid of it. All it does is keep the hem right here from getting crushed during shipping. Okay, so ice and water shield, we're gonna put our front piece on. You always wanna run the ice and water shield 4 to 6 inches past the corner of the skylight. That way you can have lap on both sides. The ice and water shield needs to go behind this rubber gasket. That's a detail a lot of people end up missing. And what happens is the way the skylight's designed is water channels down through here. If it gets in here, it channels through here. It comes out these little openings here, right here, here, and here, and there. If your flashing is behind it, it'll roll right down the face of your flashing. But if you put it on top, it'll go right behind the flashing and underneath the roof and cause a leak. You want to try and get it as far underneath as you can, and then start pressing it against the curb of the skylight itself, and then work it right into that transition. Smooth it out. It's a little cold, so it might take a minute to stick, but we'll eventually get there. So take your knife, find out where the corner is. I like to cut up at an angle. That way you can grab your side. Just like that. Do the same for the other side. Oh, that's the front. Try and get a nice tight transition. As square of the corners you can make, because it'll make the step flashing sit in there and look a lot better. Do the same with these, where you cut right at the corner and up at an angle. You can wrap it around the side. And that corner's closed off. All right, well, now we'll do the same on the other side. Same for the back. And there it is. All right, so the next step is to start installing the shingles and the flashing kit. So today we're installing GAF shingles, the Timberline HDZ. The manufacturer requires a 5-nail pattern. You want it first 1 inch, about halfway on the shingle, and then in between those. So in this shingle, you got to trim out the headlap to get the shingle to go up tighter. All right, now the front pan goes on. And again, that goes underneath this rubber strip, and you have to get it under the side piece too. Basically slide it under there, just like that. The other side, push it into place, lift the gasket, slide it in, turn your corners down. This front pan is supposed to be exposed. That stops any water from getting in here. You have these squared off corners. What I like to do for aesthetic purposes is just round them off. Gives it a cleaner look. I think that looks a lot better than a point. Velux is always kind enough to give you plenty of ice and water shield, so if you make any mistakes, you have enough to correct them. And they're also good about giving you plenty of step flashing too, so this is more than enough to do this entire skylight. When you come to a wall, or like the edge of the skylight, or even a chimney, where you have a straight wall, it's always good practice to cut that little corner off right there, your shingle. And what that does is, if any water makes it under there, it'll hit that corner and travel down instead of going sideways. So if you don't have it squared off, you can hit that corner and go sideways. So it's recommended to cut that little corner back. If front pan, in most cases, is gonna act like your first piece of step flashing going up the side. You can just leave it like that. There's no point in putting a piece under here. Nail it right there to hold everything down. So what I like to do is put the shingle in place, nail one side, take the first piece of flashing, hold your shingle down so it doesn't turn, slide underneath, line it up with the bottom of the course, right there, the exposure, and the one nail right there. That's it. Flashing's not gonna go anywhere, shingle won't go anywhere either. Just continue on up. I like to leave about a 1/4 inch of pencil width down the sides. It acts like a water channel. And what that's gonna do is that's just gonna allow water to free flow through there and just right down the side. It'll also keep it clean of debris. If you got it too tight, it slows that water down and it can create a damming effect. What you want is free flowing water on the sides. All right, we're gonna stop there and go to the other side. So you see how this nail right here, when I go to put that piece of step flashing in, it covers it. Water would literally have to be blowing upside down, way up under there to get to that nail, because it's both covered by the step flashing and the shingle and secured here. Oh, and there you go. See how they have leftovers. Thanks, Velux. Not a sponsor. All right, next we'll put the back pan on. You can see on here, it's got that little bend down. That bend down goes right over top of this. Just fits in there, just like that. Sometimes you'll have exposed corners right here. You can round them off to make them look a little better. Put one nail up at the top corner, just to hold everything in place. Now, take our little side pieces and we can slide them in place. So they slide right in there in that groove and get pushed up. Gotta make sure that it goes behind this. And if you look right here, there's a little plastic piece right there. You want this to go under it, just like that. It takes a little bit of finesse, but it eventually works. Put it on the sides. Velux has these cool little tabs right here. Slide up and over, and then bend it down to secure it, and that's it. And on the other side, there it is. That helps hold it down and also keeps that from moving. Okay, you don't want to nail right there. You want to kind of leave it back because water is going to come through here. It's going to get underneath the shingles here, but this big piece of flashing right here is going to just let it channel underneath and just flow right down the roof. So if you nail here, you run the risk of it, water coming sideways and getting into a nail right there. All right, you want to do the same for that side. One very important thing is do not nail into the back pan. The back pan actually has this little turned up spot right here that stops the water from going up under it. Don't nail into the back pan. Let it sit over top. You can high nail it to hold it down. But don't nail into the back pan. Take our screws that we saved earlier. That's it. One Velux Skylight.